Hello and welcome. Let's talk tarot. Today we're going to be going through my 4 rules for how to pick the perfect tarot deck for you. Just to be clear, this video is beginner friendly, not beginner specific. So what that means is if you are picking out your first deck or if you are just looking to expand your collection, these 4 rules should guide you. I brought along a couple of my tarot decks as examples so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as we're going through these different points. Who am I? I am a tarot reader of over 8 years. I have a tarot deck collection of over 40 different decks. And I am cutting card tarot on TikTok with a following of around 150,000 followers. So with that, let's get into it. We're going to keep it brief. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it to the point. Okay, in total, there are 4 different rules or things that you need to guide you in finding the perfect tarot deck. The 4 S's: signals, symbols, supports, and self. I'll say it again: signals, symbols, support, and self. We're going to go through each one of these things, break down what it means and why it is important in order for you to find the right tarot deck for you. Okay, let's talk signals, and we're going to break this down into 2 parts: signals from yourself, signals from the universe. Signals from yourself, that's called a gut reaction. That's called an instinct. And I think the issue for most people isn't necessarily feeling that gut instinct. It is following that gut instinct and listening to that gut instinct. Are you actually listening when you feel like you're moving towards something even though you didn't intend to? When you're feeling drawn or compelled towards something, reaching out your hand instinctively, right? That's a gut reaction. Signals from the universe can be really overt, like you've wanted a deck forever and your best friend just happens to be giving that deck away. Convenient, lovely sign from the universe. We adore it, but that's not normally how it works. More often, it's going to be your clothing gets snagged on the edge of a table and pulls you back and towards a certain deck. A certain deck gets knocked off a table. Those different types of examples. Number 2, symbols. As mentioned, the tarot is a visual language, baby. Do you and the tarot speak the same language? That means, do you understand some of the symbols that are being shown to you, right? Like, do you get a feeling of what the card might be about without having read the guidebook? And I'm not talking specifics here. I'm not expecting you to know what every single card means just by looking at it. I'm saying, a couple or even a majority of the cards, can you get a sense of what they might mean just based on the imagery that you're seeing? Additionally, I think it's so fair to just want to look at your tarot deck. Genuinely, I want to look at my tarot deck. I want to think it's pretty. If I think it's ugly or if I'm feeling like meh about the art, I'm going to be much less likely to practice with it. And maybe that's just a me thing, but I think it's a valid me thing. Moving on to the 3rd S, support. Realistically, knowing where you're at as a tarot reader, does this deck's guidebook provide enough support for you to be able to actually read the cards and actually hopefully deepen your practice? And that's going to depend on 1, where you're at in your practice. How much support do you need? Are you willing to invest in buying an additional guidebook if you need that support? 2, what kind of learner are you? Do you need the connection between that card's specific imagery and the guidebook? Like, if a card is about animals and has a picture of an owl, do you need to know why they chose an owl? Would it be helpful to know why that symbol represents the high priestess? Do you want to connect your tarot practice to certain things, astrology, herbs, plants, and can this guidebook enable you to do that? And finally, last but not least, let's talk about the self. Have you actually done the self-reflection required to know where you're at and your limitations? Financially, do you have the money to invest in the tarot deck that you want right now? Would you rather buy a more affordable deck to practice with in the meantime, or do you want to maybe deepen your practice by reading online until you can save up? What is the reality that you are okay living with? Physically, can you actually handle the deck? Do you have smaller hands? What is the space or environment that you are currently living in? Can you accommodate a large deck? Do you travel a lot? Do you want a deck that can go with you? Maybe you want it to be able to get a little beat up. What are the actual realities of your situation that are going to make this deck work with your life? So those are my 4 rules: signs, symbols, support, self. Okay? Remember those. You'll find the deck for you, I promise. You can do this. I believe in you. Good luck. Over and out. Fare thee well. And I'll talk to you guys later.